Hi, everyone. Welcome to Real Beans. Today we have the wonderful Kathryn Horan on with us, who's been on many times before. Hi, Kathryn.
Hello. Thanks so much for having me back.
Yeah, and Kathryn was a big instrument in this particular coffee pairing because she came up with the idea of mushrooms and caves, because the film we're
Right.
talking about today is The Descent, which takes place completely or almost completely inside the cave. And
Right.
mushrooms thrive in deep, dark places such as caves. And when she mentioned that, it was perfect and wasn't something I would have ever thought about off the top of my head. And for better or worse, because this is both yours and my first time drinking mushroom coffee. So,
Hopefully,
uh,
this was a good idea and not we'll be regretting that we ever tried this.
well, I did choose. So, the coffee that we're having today is Four Sigmatic Focus Organic Coffee Latte. Now, I saw the latte and thought, okay, that might be a little bit easier to drink than
A little more
specifically just
palatable.
coffee.
Yeah.
Yes. And even when I was pouring in my hot water, I was smelling a little bit of the caramel notes
Yes, I did get that
that
as well.
it had. Now, there are times when, especially this is very much in the coffee world, of where you can smell the coffee or smell like this particular mushroom coffee and be like, oh, it smells lovely. And then you take a sip of it and it may or may not be exactly what you're smelling. Um, Sometimes it can be great, sometimes not. And that's what you do when you try all different types of coffees. You got to take the good with the bad. So first off, we'll go ahead and we will take a sip
All
and
right.
see just how this
Here we
is.
go. Mushroom coffee. Mine's fresh out of the microwave, so mine's maybe a little too hot.
Hmm. So my first thought is it is palatable. I can taste caramel, but
Abs-
much like these coffees made of mushrooms or from the earth, it does taste like the earth. And there's a little bit of an aftertaste, which I find to be this is what usually causes me to avoid these kinds of healthy coffees, as it tends to taste more watered down after a while and chalky, a bit chalky. And mine didn't get completely mixed, so it didn't.
I was gonna say, yeah, I've got a nice little layer of stuff on the top.
And since this isn't hot chocolate, it's not going to taste as good in powder form, but it's not as bad as I was expecting it to be.
Well, that's good. It's still too hot. I
But
can't quite get it in without burning my mouth. Maybe we'll do a mid-episode
mid
break, and we'll
one.
check in
So
on
you've had
that.
you have my first reaction to this
And it might still cool
mushroom
down a little bit.
coffee, and there was some interesting information about this coffee. This is from Finland. The
Oh,
company is founded by Tero Askapulja in 2012, and this farm that they own has been in the family since 1619. And the journey of the mushroom coffee began in Hong Kong, made its way to the Philippines, and then finally to the United States. This
interesting.
particular brand has lion's mane as the mushroom of choice. There are many other options out there in terms of these lattes, but lion's mane I found to be the most prolific one. So you'll likely
Right.
find this particular brand in the stores, easy to find. I got mine on Amazon, but I've seen it at Target and at some of the grocery stores. This is another product where during World War II, when they were facing shortages of coffee, they had to make do with caffeine, try to figure out where to get it. Mushrooms turned out to be one of the choices from the birch trees. So thanks, World War II, for finding another type of coffee that has
Nobody
lasted
asked for.
throughout the years.
Right.
So I will say I also, besides just doing the water with this particular cup, prior to our recording, I did put it in my espresso to see if
Hmm.
it made or the espresso better or worse. It basically kind of masks the entire flavor of the mushroom coffee. So if you want to be healthy, you can put this in and not have it ruin the taste of your coffee.
All right, I got a little sip and I spilled it on my pants. Um,
Uh-oh.
oh, hi, Coco. And my cat came by to say hi too.
Hi, Coco.
The sip I had was okay.
Yeah, that's where I'm going
I know.
to place this coffee. I am going to put in the okay column.
Yeah,
It's not something I think I will purchase again unless I'm feeling desperately in the mood for something healthy. This is supposed to help with mental clarity and energy, so we shall see if it actually does that.
exactly. Well, my cat seems to like it. I got a little on the side of the desk as she is looking it up.
Yeah, it
So
should be
it
fine.
has my cat's endorsement.
It's dairy free and shouldn't be harmful. All right, The Descent. Now, I have to say, and I had mentioned this before, that this was a film I had never seen before. I knew about it. People had said, oh, it's so good. It's so good. I've just been so far behind in modern day horror films that I just sort of, I'll get to it when I get to it. And when you brought it up as a possible option, I thought, okay, this will be a way to get me to see this film that
Mhm.
everyone had talked about and that has been on my list for a long time and needed to see it. And boy, am I glad I did because it is now knocked off one of my top 10 horror films that I had in my list. Uh, and I don't have too many modern horror movies on my top 10 list, so
Mhm.
it's now one of the more recent ones. And yeah, I was just my initial reaction to the whole piece was just amazing. There was so much suspense and tension and claustrophobia
Mhm.
and beauty and then sort of hallucinating uh, elements to it and really just all wove together very nicely.
I agree. Yeah, the first time I saw this movie was when it came out. I had recently moved out to the Los Angeles area, and I got free tickets to a screening at the ArcLight in Hollywood. And I went with a friend of mine from back home who lived out here at the time. Her name's Brittany, and we went to go see this free movie. I didn't know anything about it, and fell in love with it immediately. My friend Brittany calls it "Babes in a Cave." How I lovingly refer to it as well. But yeah, it's just one that I never considered myself to be claustrophobic, but when you watch this movie, you really do get those moments of, "Oh god," like, you feel for the characters, you're worried that they're never gonna get out of some of these tight spaces, you start thinking, you're like, "Oh god, what if that was me?" So you really it is a very visceral film in that way for sure.
And it is quite a mind fuck because
Right.
you start off in the cave and it's big and you can
Mhm.
see everything and the waterfalls are coming through and
Yeah.
the light that's hitting on the rocks. It's all beautiful. And you think, oh, this is going to be great. But then you start diving even further into the deep, which
Yeah.
gets farther away from the light,
Yep.
darker, smaller.
Darker.
You have
Mhm.
absolutely no idea what is behind the door.
And some of
I
the
always love those films.
some of the gymnastics they have to do to get through some of these rooms, just, I can't even imagine the upper body strength. I'm just like, I would be dead, just having to
Yeah,
put the clips up in the ceiling and run the rope through, and oh my god, like
one-handed. I mean, you're holding
right?
on one hand
One
and then
hand,
trying to
oh
put something
god.
in. I mean, I applaud people who can do this and
Yeah, that is
actually
not my
be
strength.
no, be very calm about it too,
Yeah,
while you're doing it, even though at
'cause it's
one
a
moment you
long
could
way
slip.
down. Yeah, exactly,
Exactly, because they would
exactly.
take you would hear them take the rocks to see, like, how far down is
Mhm,
this, and it would be longer and longer. I think they do it twice in the film, and the first time it's, like, a decent drop,
mhm.
but then, like, the second time, they're like,
Yeah,
"What is down there?" And
like
it took even longer for that sound
exactly.
to echo up, uh,
Mhm.
making it even more difficult to continue with the exploration of the cave.
Yes.
Um, and you called this lovingly, what was it? Babes
Babes in a cave.
in a cave, and we do have 6 female protagonists.
Yep.
They all get quite a good amount of screen time together. We
Mhm.
don't this isn't your typical horror movie where 15 minutes in, each character gets bumped off. There's a lot of time to resonate with these characters, to
Yeah, you get to know
understand what
them.
their motives are, what they're doing there, who they are to each other. And our leading lady, name is Sarah, played by Shauna McDonald. She has just gone from a year of grieving after her husband and daughter were killed in a car accident on their way home, um, which is the beginning of the film. And I have to say, it was not something I had expected at all.
Right.
Even though I saw the car that had hit them coming, I didn't expect anything
You
to
don't
really
expect
happen.
the pipes
I
and stuff. It's very
Oh,
Final Destination-esque.
it is, and that it was a nice jump scare. It paid
Mhm.
off, and you're just like, "Oh, okay, well, now where is this going?" And then we jump to a
Exactly.
year later.
A year later,
Uh,
and they were on one of these kinda, guess, girl trips, if you will, where they seem to do this kinda every year, and they all go to some different locale and do something sporty and adventure-y, and yeah, at the end of that trip, she lost her husband and daughter, and this is their first time even seeing each other, really, Sarah and her group of friends since that happened, or at
right,
least that's what we're led to believe. They really haven't seen each other since then.
exactly, and this is, one of the friends named Juno, who is the biggest fan of the adventures and, kinda just going as one step at a time without looking at maps and things, just really going for it and just having a good time.
Very brazen, yes.
Yeah, very brazen, exactly. And this is her way of trying to get Sarah out of her funk after a year, trying to get her back to see if we can get some resemblance of reality and normalcy. And we come to find out Juno has some sort of other motives. It seems like it really she's a tough character to figure out what her initial motives are behind all of this, because she decides to take this group of friends to this cave that has not been discovered, lied to them and tell them they were going to one of the Carlsberg caverns, or one of the main touristy caverns, and decides, nope, we're going to go and be able to name this. This is going to be for us to name. And for lack of a better word, she is a very egotistic
Mhm.
friend. She lets her ego really get in the way at times of trying to be logical,
Yes.
um, which causes some problems for the rest of the team as they get further and further
Just to
into.
put it mildly.
And well, I see some aspects of myself in Juno, as I do. I sometimes don't like to plan
Mm,
things, and I just want to go for a journey and just see where it takes me. However, I will preface by saying that I don't think I would go into a cavern that has not been uh, properly founded and
plotted.
researched and
Yes.
cleaned out, and
Where
you
nobody
allow
knows where you are or could find you if you needed help. Yeah.
exactly. And on that note, first off, before we go even further into the film, just a little tongue in cheek moment from myself. After I finished the film, I came up with 5 things that this movie had taught me. First, always bring a doctor when you go splunking, because it will come in handy at some point,
Right.
especially in the film when one of the characters falls, breaks her
Very
leg,
very
and the
badly.
doctor is there to help bandage her up so she can go a little bit further along the way. Number 2, be sure you don't run off without a buddy with you. Make sure you have 2 people with you at a time,
Just
because
like
if
in
you go off.
kindergarten. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Especially if you go off into the unknown world of
Mhm.
cave exploring where you have no idea what's around the corner. It would be best to have somebody there who can at least help if something goes wrong, or go back to get some help if needed, as
Mhm.
opposed to just disappearing and people go, "Where are you? I can't hear you anywhere." And that is what causes Holly to have the accident. She just goes running off thinking she sees the light and
Yep.
falls. And number 3, this is for everyone anyway. Keep your eyes on the road at all times. This would have avoided so much at the beginning with the
Right?
husband not paying attention and being hit by the car. But also, most anybody, if you're on the road.
Well, same thing, even with that Holly scene, keep your eye on the road. Don't get distracted by other shiny objects.
I
Watch
think
where you're
they decide
going.
to go get they go on the terrain to get around
Mhm.
into the instead of staying on the main highways, they go
Right.
off into
Yep.
the terrain um and whatever you do, number 4, always bring a map with you. Juno has a map with her. It's the map of other caves, but she decides to just leave it in the car and just go on her own,
Yep. Not helpful.
and didn't help one bit. But maybe there would have been something in there in that might have talked about these caves. Maybe somebody
Mhm.
had discovered it at one point,
Or
but
maybe there'd be a
she just
connecting
has no.
cave system you could see or yeah.
Exactly. So always bring a map with you. And finally, for God's sakes, don't go into places that have not been completely discovered.
I think
Because,
those are
ladies and
good words of
gentlemen
wisdom.
listening, this film tells us the reason why you should not go into places unexplored before.
Right. Exactly.
Catherine, what happens in the film as we continue?
So, I mean, that's what I love about this movie is it goes in and you think it's one thing. It's like, all right, it's a group of ladies, they're going cave diving and exploring this cave and bad things start to happen to them and it could just be that. Just a movie of them getting trapped in a cave and trying to find their way out. That would be fantastic. But no, this movie has another layer to it. And what makes it so great is and this is why it holds up to repeat watch. Throughout the movie, you get little hints that they are not alone in this cave. And you start to see kind of out of the corner of your eye, oh, was that a shadow? Was that was that another person? What's going on? And soon it gets revealed, or it gets about halfway through, it gets revealed that there are these kind of creatures in this cave. They're humanish monster creatures that live completely in the dark. They have eyes, but they can't really see anything because they don't need to because they live in the dark. And they have a taste for human flesh. And they, they slowly start knocking the ladies off one at a time until only one of them is left.
Exactly.
So it becomes this
And,
monster movie and
yeah, it also had a similar feel to I think it probably came later, but the film The Quiet Place,
mm,
uh,
mhm.
where the monsters only attack when they hear something, and
Yeah, so
and
you
these
gotta be
cave
perfectly
dwellers,
still and quiet and
they can't
don't
see, but they can use their
they can
senses,
hear.
other senses to figure out someone's around.
Very
And
true.
it does appear that there have been they don't really explain, but it does seem that there have been a lot of people and animals in this cave because they come into a boneyard
Mhm.
where there's just human skulls, animal skulls
Everywhere. Everywhere.
everywhere. It kind of also reminded me of Texas Chainsaw Massacre going
Sure.
into the bones and like
Mhm, mhm.
where am I? What's going on? What room have I stumbled upon? Something's not
Yeah.
right here. And I think one of the characters even said, something's not right.
Right. Well, and that's
And
one of my favorite parts of the movie too, is when they are kind of exploring the cave system and they're putting in their anchors and stuff, then they realize, "Oh, someone's been here before." And not only has
right,
someone been here before, but this equipment is really old, so someone was here a long time ago, and so what happened to them and where did they go? And, did they if they survived and got out, why didn't they tell anybody about this cave system? So that leads to a lot of interesting questions as well.
exactly. And what's nice about this, what was refreshing about this horror movie is the fact that the characters are not one dimensional in any
No.
way. They are not stupid, they're not dumb, they're not ditzy blondes falling over and, oh, just being in the way as many horror films like to
Like,
do with a lot of
Friday the
their.
13th when we last talked. Yeah.
Right, exactly, where you just have many people who just aren't that smart, or they're written to be not as smart. But here, because there's a lot at stake, it's nice to see that all of them at least have something to provide for each setting that they're in. You
Mhm,
know, you
mhm.
have the doctor, you have Rebecca, who was the older sister who knew about the setting up the brackets onto the wall to climb
Yeah.
over the caverns. Juno is the big adventurer and understands her instincts and how to maneuver around closed spaces. And whenever something does go wrong, such as being chased by the creatures or getting trapped in part of the cave, they don't lose their minds
Yeah,
and freak out about it.
I
They
think they
still have
do
their heads on
react.
their shoulders.
Yeah, they react like how real people, I think, would in that situation, you know? I mean, there might be some panic, but it's not like anything over the top or, like you said, completely ridiculous. So, yeah, I feel like these characters
Right,
are well written and they're well rounded and they're more grounded than you usually see in a horror movie.
exactly, and the one person who I feel like would have some issues is our main character, Sarah,
Mhm.
who has just dealt with trauma
Right.
beyond belief and is getting into a space that is enclosed and can provide for hallucinations, dehydrations, uh, just a lot of making things not feel as if
Mhm.
how they should be feeling.
Yeah,
And
and
she
and we
gets
know she's
caught.
on some kind of medication too. They show it at the very beginning. We don't know exactly what it is, but right before they go on the cave expedition, she takes a pill. And so maybe that is some
Exactly.
sort of anxiety med or some sort of maybe mental health medicine of some kind, we don't know, but there is an allusion there to she's on some sort of medication.
And she's prone to having nightmares about her
Mhm.
family, especially her
Yep.
daughter, bringing out a birthday cake, and
Mhm.
um, so that much trauma, plus going into the cave, she gets stuck. She's the first one to get stuck while crawling through one of the smaller spaces, and that does cause her to get a little bit more panicked.
Mhm.
And that's why I say it makes sense because she's the one that has the most trauma going on in her life right now that would
Yes.
cause something like that to push a little harder. But
Mhm, mhm.
her friend Beth, who is a teacher, knows how to talk her down from the level that she's at so she can get through uh, being stuck, which of course then breaks the wall, starts crumbling around them. And that's what causes the first
Cave
main
in.
problem of blocking
Yeah.
the exit to get out of where they
Mhm.
actually came from.
Exactly.
Now, I had a lot of questions as I was watching this film in terms of her hallucination moments and her
Mhm.
dreams. And there were many times where as I watched, I wasn't quite sure what was real and what wasn't real. There's a
Mm,
scene at
mhm.
the beginning after she's been put in the hospital after her car accident where she's walking through the halls and it starts getting black, all the lights start
Mhm,
shutting off.
mhm.
And then at one point, she is hugging her friend Beth on the floor, just in panic screaming, and people in the hospital are just walking right past her as if she's not even there.
Right.
I kept sitting to myself going, "Well, why aren't they helping her? What's going on?" So, there are a few moments like that
Mhm.
scattered throughout the film where I was sort of like going, "Alright, is this really happening, or is this all in her mind?
Right.
Is the whole trip just a hallucination that she's having, or are they just moments being shown to us the trauma that she's going through and the mental and physical issues that occur with such a traumatic accident?"
Right.
Uh, what do you feel about that?
Well, I like the first one you talk about when she's in the hospital and you see the lights going out on her, one at a time and getting smaller and smaller. I think that's kind of a nice allusion to what happens in the cave later on where, they're losing more and
It
more light and things are getting smaller and smaller and smaller and she's getting trapped. Um I think yeah, I mean a lot of the hallucinations and stuff, it makes her a little bit of an unreliable narrator and that works in our favor I think at the end of the movie,
right.
when that sequence happens and you're like, "Did she escape? Did she not escape?" Oh, and I'm sure I don't know if you wanna get into that now or if we'll get to that later, but,
We'll
um,
get to that in a little bit.
it kinda leaves these little breadcrumbs of, "Oh, did that really happen? Or did she just imagine that?" And that, I think yeah, that's one of the things that makes this movie so interesting is I mean, you could read it either way, and maybe they did, maybe they didn't, and that changes how you kind of perceive different sequences.
Exactly, and that helps with the rewatchability
Mhm.
elements of this as well, so you can continue to, as you said, you see things that you didn't see before that might
Yeah.
click with you in a different way, or, um and
It's like,
that's a
maybe there
a
aren't even cave monsters. Maybe Sarah just went crazy and whacked all the friends off and
I mean,
you know?
there is that moment, especially,
Yeah.
with thinking about how when tensions are high, what we can
Mhm.
sometimes do when our blood is flowing, is racing, our heart is pumping. There's a whole sequence of them fighting off the crawlers,
Yeah.
and, um, we'll jump in with Juno, who is the very problematic character in terms of she's got a lot going on in her life, and during this battle sequence between the crawlers, she is hyped up on energy like you wouldn't believe, and then all of a sudden, Beth comes in very quietly, doesn't say a word. Juno turns around and hits
Gets
her
her
right
with the
in the neck.
which is
Now,
such a good moment. Like, it's so
oh,
brutal, so brutal.
it was so brutal, but I was also like, I wasn't expecting that at all. Like, it
Mhm.
didn't even. And then I thought, this is actually brilliant because she's gonna think that it's not Beth behind her, but another crawler, and so her
Exactly.
instincts to
Yep.
attack were spot on.
And it's yeah, it could have been anybody. Like, that's something that's such a human thing. Because like, you could see yourself doing that too. Because 'cause you're just fighting things off left and right, and then someone's just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and you get that, "Oh, crap" moment of, "Oh my god, that was my friend," and just she didn't kill her out of malice. It was
No.
an accident, and you just
Well, and
see the
that's
look on
the
her face.
I know both of them.
Both of them.
Of surprise
Yes, and,
and,
"Oh, crap," and
Juno's look of horror and, "Oh my gosh."
that's
I
why it makes me so mad when she lies about it.
that's where I'm heading with this, and this is my issue with Juno right now, and that a lot of people, when I was reading up on this, really are against Juno for many things, and
Right.
I don't I don't fault her for killing
No.
Beth because it was all done in a as humans, this can happen
Mhm.
in real life, but when she does, as you say, lies to Sarah about this, and I was like, "Oh, this is where you should have just said, I was she got
It was
she
an
was right
accident.
there, I didn't know I was fighting off the crawlers," and,
Yep.
um, and then Sarah comes to find out when she sees Beth still in pain, not quite dead yet, finds out more information about what Juno has been up to,
Mhm.
and, that is another fault of Juno in this movie,
Yeah.
is the fact that we find out that she may have been having an affair with Sarah's husband, which is what caused some of the anguish at the start of the film with the sort of
Yeah.
being back offish and distracted, which causes the car accident.
Yeah.
Um, but,
Yeah, Juno's a complicated character for sure.
very complicated character, and, um, I can see why people would really despise her as a person in this movie, but I know that it's a human foible that we all have,
I mean, that's
and
what makes her so interesting too. Like, yeah, it makes her very human. It gives her a lot of layers. I don't think she's a villain. I don't think she's a
no,
bad person. She just, like everybody's made mistakes. I think she thinks too much with her heart and not enough with her head. She's
yes,
very
which then
passionate.
eventually causes her downfall later in the
Yes.
movie.
Yes.
She can think she can handle everything,
Yeah.
I can figure out where this exit is without a map. We need
Yeah.
to get back to normal. I want this to be she her ego gets the best of her
Yes.
in this situation. Um, Now that she's caused problems with her friends, now they're all being knocked off one by one by this unknown species that just lurks in every corner, nook and cranny, no matter where you're walking to. It's like, what am I going to run into, or will I
Yeah.
run into things? And
Mhm. And
there
how
are
many of them
some
are
jump.
there?
Well, that's the thing. I didn't realize that we're going to be so many of them in the
Right.
towards the end, you're just like, "Oh my god, they're
They're
everywhere."
everywhere.
And I thought maybe it was like 1 or 2, and, we'll go at that. The jump scares that happen
Mhm.
throughout, because when the crawlers are coming around, there are some moments of those sort of fun jump scares that directors like to throw in just to make you
Yeah.
flinch for a minute, and then, like, you go back to the film. Many times I'm like, "Oh, it's like the cat jumping out at the
Right.
actor
Yes,
and
yes.
they scream, and that's all you
Yep.
get, that 2 seconds." But the nice part, I felt like all of these jump scares were they were all worth it in some respect. Even the
Yeah.
ones that just were like a quick jolt, because you still knew that, well, something's around the corner anyway, so they're just getting a jump here and just like,
Right.
"Oh, we just gotta prepare for what the next big moment is gonna be." The payoffs are superb in this
Mhm.
film,
I
and,
agree.
and I haven't seen any, films by this director,
Me either.
Neil Marshall, and I was looking at the
He's
filmography,
not
and the
like
other
a
one, yeah, he's not very prolific in that respect,
no.
lots of movies. The other one he did was called Dog Soldiers, which I've not seen. That was before The Descent, and I smiled a bit when I read that a lot of his, influences came from Dario Argento and Lucio Fulci, um,
Mhm, mhm.
and I love, and both of those directors are very colorful in their films, be it the setting is really lit and colored very nicely with bright colors of red or violet or black, and
Sure.
Lucio is a very gory filmmaker, so a lot of the colors that are coming from the gore that happens in the film.
Mhm.
So I see that the influence is there. I think he also mentioned that, and this makes perfect sense, was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was a big influence on him, and with the
Yeah.
unknown of what's behind the wall or what's under the chair, what's under these piles of bones. Um, so yeah, I mean, he was absolutely brilliant with the direction of this, and
Yeah.
pacing really
Pacing's
builds up
good.
nicely to a nice climax.
And they do such a great job with the set too, and especially when you read, like, they only had, like, a couple of these cave set pieces, and then they just reconfigured them to make the different rooms. Like, they
Yeah,
were really smart with how they did that.
it was almost all of the caverns were shot in Pinewood Studios in London, and I
Mhm.
was like, amazing that they did that, because I would never have known had I not read something about that and been like, "This
Exactly.
seems like they're right in the cave directly,"
It
and
really looks like they're in a cave. Yeah.
that makes me, it brings back the days of when they built sets for everything to make it easier to,
Yes.
I know it's much easier to work around a staged cave as opposed to a real
Oh
cave,
gosh. And being
um,
able to control the environment and all that, yeah.
but it could also have been just made like you could be, "Oh, it's just not, doesn't look right, it looks plastic," or it looks,
Yep.
styrofoam or something of that nature, and here I bought right into it that the set
Mhm.
was really well done, and the lighting for it was really well done with the
Yes.
hints of water coming down from the
Mhm.
ceilings and
Mhm.
droplets and even waterfalls coming through. The big pile of blood lake that she falls into later
Right? Oh my
on,
gosh.
that is like, I'm like, "Oh, that's where the picture came from."
Yep. Yep. That's that famous iconic moment.
Um, let's go ahead and let's talk a little about the ending.
Great.
Now,
Which
there are
one?
2 there are 2 endings that happened with this movie. One is a UK version or the uncut version, and then there's a US theatrical release. So the theatrical release in the United States was the quote, quote, "happy ending," where she escapes and then has a jump scare at the end, and that's the end of the movie.
Mhm.
Whereas in the UK, there's a more ominous, bleak
Yeah, she still
ending.
kind of escapes and you get that jump scare, but then it kinda wakes her back up into being in the cave still, and she hasn't actually
Exactly.
escaped.
And so that, makes everybody sad, that the fact that, oh, she didn't really escape. You had that adrenaline going as an audience member
Mhm.
of like, "She made it. Go, 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 go."
Yep.
And then, oh, she's back where
Yeah.
she was. But I think that's absolutely, I love endings like these because
I do
it's,
too.
one, not expected, and you're not going, "Oh, yeah, it's a happy ending. Okay, they all live happily ever after."
Mhm.
Whereas here it's like there's a lot more that meets the eye in her
Yes.
character, especially since we know that she's prone to hallucinations,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
this makes perfect sense that after she's finally been able to sort of just take a rest, she has a dream of escaping and then
Mhm.
ends
And
up
it's like,
back in
"Ah,
the cave.
crap, I'm still in here." Yeah. No, I don't know. I'm not a bleak person per se, but I am a sucker for a bleak ending. I think just because they're so few and far between, so many movies do try to wrap it up nicely in a bow or give you that happy ending so that you feel like, all right, everything's right with the world. And sometimes it's nice to be like, no, no, everything is not right with the world. Like this went really bad and no, nobody got out, you know?
Exactly. When I was in college, I was in a film class and I created about, I think, a 15-20 minute slasher movie.
Uh-huh.
And at the end, I had my main character go through all the final girl things, and she walks out to the road and a car runs her over. And I
That's
was
great.
like, I always had that, I guess, that macabre sense of humor of like,
Mhm.
okay, or just kind of really throw you for a loop there rather than just let you go off easily with a nice
No.
package for you. But I will say that with the US ending, had it ended like that, I wouldn't have been upset either, I don't think,
No.
because it's
It
totally works. It gives you a nice adrenaline rush.
Mhm.
Like she's gone
It
through so much
does.
already and you're like wanting her to escape. So, in a sense, fine,
Yeah,
but
it's
I think
fine.
you're
It's
missing
nothing
out
we've
on a lot more.
seen, it's very kinda almost Friday
Yeah,
the 13th-ish, or, keep talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre in a way, it's kinda like that, where she, escapes in the car at the end, um,
but is she
but
really
yeah,
happy at the end? Is it really a happy
exactly. I
ending?
mean, that's the thing, I mean, yeah, okay, she escapes, but man,
Now what?
what
With that
what is she
I
escaping to?
well, and there was a moment where there's a sequence where when she is leaving running away from the cave, and she gets in her Jeep and drives away, and then she stops off the side of the road, and
Mhm,
another
mhm.
semi comes flying by.
Yep.
Now, this time I was watching the semi, and I was like, "Are they gonna do sort of like what they did at the beginning?"
Oh,
And,
yeah.
like, is she gonna be hit, um
That would've been interesting. I've been okay with that.
yeah, I mean, that would have been another bleak ending, but
Yeah,
I think because I hadn't noticed it at the beginning of the car
God.
coming towards it. This time I actually was spotting this and being like, "Oh
Like, "Watch out
gosh,"
for the truck."
and then it was a fake out. He
Yeah,
was like he just
exactly,
passed by,
exactly.
and I was like, "Okay." But, and there is a thing about, like, when you have, US releases versus UK
Mhm.
or, Japanese releases, other
Yes.
countries where they feel like that we need to dumb it down just a little bit more for Americans to
Yeah.
understand, and, that makes me mad when I watch a movie because 'cause I'm like, "Oh, what
Right?
a cop out." It's like, let them
Exactly.
leave
It's
with
lame.
more
Yeah, no, I don't
questions.
like that either. No, I'm like, I wanna see the movie that was intended.
Well,
Don't
it also gives you a chance to talk about it afterwards instead of just being like,
right?
"Well, she lived, that's the end of it."
Yeah, we see that every time. It's nice when I mean, that's the thing with the bleaker endings, you don't see them as often, so, yeah, it
I
does
get that.
kinda
Let's make
beg
it
for more
fun.
discussion when you get them.
Exactly. And, yeah, I really appreciated that, and I was
Mhm.
glad that the one I rented was the uncut version and not the US
Yes.
version.
Yeah, I own this on DVD, and I was like, "I don't remember which ending's on this," and I was like, "Oh, thank goodness, it's the real ending." I'll say the coffee's not bad. Like
You
like
know,
like
it's,
you said, like, I don't think I'll drink it necessarily again, but
yeah, it's
for
not
what it
like
is, it's better than I anticipated.
it's definitely better than I thought it would be. It does still have that bit of dirt,
You're right.
earthy taste to it that I'm
It
like,
does, but I can taste, like you said, kind of the caramel notes,
that helps
and there's
quite a bit,
something
I
there
think.
there is a sweetness to it. I find this more palatable than the instant coffee we had for Friday the 13th.
Right. Yes, yes, yes. This reminds me of when I went to a coffee festival and I tried one of the healthy coffees that they said, and that's what kinda,
Mhm.
like, turned me off on healthy coffee because it was probably the worst thing I ever tasted in my life,
Here's the
and
thing.
so this is refreshing in the fact that it does taste fine,
Yeah.
And since it didn't do anything with my espresso, I'm sure the
Yeah.
coffee, regular coffee, would be just fine. Putting in a teaspoon here and there of it
Mhm.
and getting the benefits of whatever they say it is,
Yeah.
um,
The mental
would be fine.
clarity.
Yes, we could all use some mental clarity and focus. Well, then I guess
Oh,
we can go
so
ahead.
would you go cave diving, Ben?
Would I ever go splunking? I don't think so. I'm not always claustrophobic in certain respects, but I think in a
Mhm.
cave setting, knowing that anything nature, as we know, is always unpredictable,
Yes.
what might happen in this situation? I was a Boy Scout, so I
Mm.
can handle myself outside in the elements, but I don't think I'd be able to crawl across the walls to get to the other side of the cave,
No.
across caverns and those empty holes. I that would make me that would be the claustrophobic spots where the fear of heights would come in because there's nothing
Yes.
cradling me below to
Yeah,
help in
no.
case I do fall.
Yeah,
I think
I
I would
agree.
probably go at the beginning of the cave, "Oh, how pretty," and then turn around and go out.
Exactly. Yeah, I've been to Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico several times, and that's my kind of cave exploring where there's a laid out trail and you just follow the trail down and you get to see all the beautiful cave formations, the stalactites and the stalagmites, and oh, isn't it beautiful? And then you're done.
And then
That's
you're out.
that's that's my kind of cave exploring.
You're not taking a turn into the smaller,
No, there's no squeezing through walls and hanging from cliffs. No, 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 no.
bringing your ropes with you to
It's,
maneuver through
lots
the
of
entire
lots of
thing.
cement and well-worn trails and lots of people to follow too, so you can't get lost.
Exactly. Which is they would have been fine if they
And
had
there's a gift
actually
shop
stopped.
at the end too, so
Right,
yeah.
exactly. No gift shop at the end of this
No
one.
gift shop here.
I guess the gift shop is for the crawlers. They get to have
That's
a
right.
meal come to them. But yeah, no splunking for me.
No, no,
I'll watch
that's a
other
little
people
too
do
much
it
for
on
me, I think.
film.
Yes, definitely not my cup of tea.
It was like the very similar to the movie 127 Hours, I think it was,
Oh,
with James
yeah, where the
Franco,
guy's
where he
stuck,
got
yes.
and that
Oh,
was like
and that's a true
as you were
story.
talking about at the beginning of this, about how it could have just been a drama about friendships in the cave trying to get out of the cave and all the things that go wrong, that reminded me of what that movie, 127
Mhm.
Hours, was like, so, um but even if those were dramas, I still found them a bit on the horror side.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and
Traumatic,
there's other things that are kinda like this, like, there's a great, movie that came out a few years ago called Fall, and similar-ish premise where you get these 2 women, and they decide to just climb this really tall tower just because they can and end up getting
right?
stuck up there. Yeah, so stuff like that. Ugh.
Yeah.
Say
Oh,
hi, Coco.
well, I think we covered just about everything
Yeah,
about that I wanted to talk about and that I think
yeah, definitely.
hopefully will entice people who haven't seen this movie to go out and see it.
Definitely
Um,
worth checking out for sure.
absolutely, and it's I'm not one to always cry out that, "Oh, this movie is now in my top 10," and, um, in fact, I think I text you after I watched the movie, and I
Mhm.
was like, "This was amazing, I can't believe I waited so
Which
long to
made me
watch
so
this."
happy.
And so you get that
This one's good.
stamp of approval from me, and, um,
Yeah, it's
I
probably
don't
in
think
my
you'll
top
be
10 too, like, it's always hard because I just kinda waffle back and forth with what's in my top 10. But yeah, this is definitely consistently in my top horror movies of all time because it's just
'cause
just out
everything
of the
about it
gate, it
works.
was so good, and like we've said a couple times, it definitely holds up to repeat watches. Every
Right,
time I watch it, you get a little squeamish at certain parts, so yeah, it definitely holds up.
exactly. And then if you want to, listeners, the organic coffee, the Four Sigmatic that you can find at most places, you should be able to rent the Descent on most platforms. Um, and yeah, I think this really wraps it up nicely,
Yeah.
and we can leave the cave and not be stuck.
Leave for real. We're
Exactly.
exactly, no hallucinations here.
Well, thank you, Catherine, for joining me again for
Yes.
this, and
Always
you'll be
fun
back on
talking with you,
again
Ben.
soon. Yeah,
Definitely, this'll be great.
and I'm sure we'll have films to dig our teeth into, especially
Yes.
I'm looking forward to some in the pipeline coming up of films I haven't
Yeah,
seen
me
that
too, me too.
I'm very excited to actually see for the first time and have my first original thoughts on the whole situation. So,
That's
um, great to see you
fantastic.
again,
Looking
and
forward
we'll
to it.
see you again soon.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd really appreciate it if you could like, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps more film and coffee lovers find the show. You can catch up on all our previous episodes on your favorite podcast platform. And be sure to check out realbeans.com for show notes, pairing details, and more. If you'd like to support Real Beans and help keep the show going, head over to realbeans.com/support. And hey, if you've got a film or coffee recommendation you think would make a great pairing, drop us a message on Instagram at @real_beans. I'd love to hear your suggestions. And so until next time, sip, watch, repeat.